Vakra, the 7 bulls, Sambara, Vidurata, and Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kamboja, Matsya, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Kaya, would all fight vigorously, either with Lord Hari directly, or with him under his names of Baladev, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons, thus being killed, would attain either the impersonal Brahmajyoti or his personal abode in the Vaikuntha planets. So, I don't think we'll have to repeat it. Unless you want to. Do you want to repeat it? Okay.
Is it Bhagavatam you're reading?
Yeah.
The same,
Yeah.
Oh.
It's 34, 35.
Would you repeat for the...
Yeah, I'll read it. All demonic personalities like Pralamba, Denuka, Baka, Keshi, Arista, Chanura, Mushtika, Kuvala Pida, elephant, Kuvala Yapida, elephant, Kamsa, Yavana, Narakasura, Paundraka, great marshals like Salva, Dravidic monkey, and Balvala, Dantravakra, the 7 bulls, Sambara, Vidurata, and Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kamboja, Matsya, Kuru, Srinjaya, Kaya, would all fight vigorously, either with the Lord Hari directly, or with him under his names as Baladev, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons, thus being killed, would attain either the impersonal Brahmajyoti or the personal abode in the Vaikuntha planets. Okay, let me see. So this is the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
All manifestations, both the material and spiritual worlds, are demonstrations of the different potencies of Lord Krishna. The personality of Godhead, Baladev, is his immediate personal expansion, and Bhima, Arjuna, etc. are his personal associates. The Lord would appear, and then this is in parentheses, and he does so whenever he appears, with all his associates and potencies. Therefore, the rebellious souls, like the demons and the demonic men, mentioned by name, like Pralamba, would be killed either by the Lord himself or by his associates. All these affairs will be clearly explained in the 10th canto. But we should know well that all the above-mentioned living entities killed would attain salvation either by being merged into the Brahmajyoti of the Lord, or being allowed to enter into the abodes of the Lord called Vaikunthas. Can you name one that went to, didn't go to Vaikuntha but went to Goloka or to another Gokula? Was not on this list though. She's not.
Pujana?
Yeah, I just kidding.
She's not on this list.
That was one. Actually, that would have been, if I cleverly thought of it, it would have been a way of like giving a hint. But I wasn't trying to. I actually am that stupid. But we should know well that all the above-mentioned living entities killed would attain salvation either by being merged in the Brahmajyoti of the Lord or being allowed to enter the abodes of the Lord called Vaikunthas. And she was given the position of a nurse, like to feed the Lord. And actually, that's something I'd like to talk about. This has already been explained by Bhismadev, first canto. It just says in parentheses, first canto. All persons who participated in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or otherwise with the Lord, or with Baladev, etc., would benefit by attaining spiritual existence according to the situation of their minds at the time of death. All those who recognized the Lord, who recognized the Lord as only a powerful being would attain salvation by merging into the spiritual existence of the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord. But every one of them would get released from material existence, since such is the benefit of those who played with the Lord inimically, one can imagine what would be the position of those who devoutly serve the Lord in transcendental relationship with Him. So the verse again is, all demonic personalities like Palamba, Danaka, Baka, Keshi, Arista, Chanura, Mushtika, Kuvala, Pida, Elephant, Kamsa, Yavana, Narakasura, Pandraka, great marshals like Salva, Dravida Monkey, and Balvala, Dantravakra, the seven bowls, Sambara, Vidurata, Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kamboja, Matsya Kuru, Sunjaya, and Kaya would all fight vigorously, either with the Lord Hari directly or with him under the names of Baladev, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons, thus being killed, would attain either the impersonal Brahmajyoti or his personal abode in the Vaikuntha planets. Om Gyanta Maranta Sha, Gyananjana Salakaya, Chakso Militam Jaina, Tasmai, Shri Guru Veni Maha. So, reading this just now, I was thinking, I was having a conversation earlier today. I've been looking up, there's the question came up, one of the devotees here, about the difference between Gokula and Goloka. And are there childhood pastimes in Goloka? So this morning, actually, just coincidentally, not knowing that I was going to have to do this, I Googled, are there childhood pastimes in Goloka? And there's all kinds of nectar about this. There's a really interesting article by Radhanath Swami. There's some kind of discussion between a few devotees back in 2005 about this. And they're quoting from a book that Mahanidhi apparently had written, I don't remember, but it was, and that book that he wrote was based on another scripture that had been translated by Bhanu Swami and Subhag Swami. Then someone had written, it didn't say who had posted this, but it was definitely one of like the devotee kind of things. And it was an essay or something from one of Jiva Goswamis about the difference between Goloka and Gokula. And because here's the thing, is that there's no Janamastami in Goloka. I mean, there's no reason. He's always there. He didn't have to appear. But then what does it mean that one of the 5 relationships with the Lord is parental, vatsalya? What is that relationship in Goloka? So are those childhood pastimes like the stealing the butter from the cowherd women, feeding it to the monkeys, all of that, is that happening in Goloka? And I really don't have an answer for that. I'm still just now researching it. But one thing that I did, and it was just very brief, I had finished my rounds and I was just doing a quick sort of surveillance over these little essays. It was just something I was just doing as an exercise, and then this came up. So I might as well just share whatever I did read a little bit. And then it's like we've all heard how in the spiritual world, Goloka, there's a sense that there may be trouble, a demon, occasionally. But it's never actually, no Bakasura actually appears, or no Agasura actually appears. There is none of that happening. But it appears that at this point, and I'm just saying only very limited what I can feel that I can say that may not be totally accurate, but the mood of being the mother and being the father of Krishna is there, and they have that relationship with him. It's just not the same as far as I can see at this point as in Gokula. But those personalities that have that parental relationship are part of that traveling roadshow Do you understand what I mean by roadshow? That traveling from one, they go, and that's almost eternal. It's as long as this universe is there. They go and participate in those pastimes. And whether it's always the same Jasoda, the same Jiva that's playing Jasoda, or some other living entities, other Jivas who have performed austerities in other universes, but that is going on. So, but there has to be some kind of childhood pastime, or at least, I cannot speak on this. I really don't know. All I can know is what I've been taught by Prabhupada. But I do know that one of the 5 principal relationships is parental. So that is there in Goloka. What kind of pastimes are being performed? I'm sure they're fantastic. Yes?
Can I say what I understood from my readings? That Krishna is at that in-between age. The parental people can see him as a child, and the gopis can see him as a lover, because he's just the beginning of adolescence.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you're like 12 or 13, you can appear. You know how parents tend to think my child isn't growing. My child is still a
but
child.
he's always eternally like 15 or 16.
I've seen like 11 also, but he could appear like that, and the parents, because in the books I read that are about, I read some eightfold pastime kind of things.
The what?
I don't know, the pastimes the daily pastimes of Krishna. I can't remember the names of the books, but I bought them at an ISKCON bookstore. So, that Mother Yashoda sees him as her innocent little boy who sleeps all night, and the gopis see him as their lover who doesn't sleep at night, and so he can appear either way to either one of them. But the babyhood, like the little child pastimes, may not be there. You have to go to the mature world for them. But Mother Yashoda and anybody in the paternal kind of relationship with him is worrying over him, feeling responsible, trying to train him up right, and all these kind of things. And meanwhile, at the same time, he's a lover to the gopis, and he's maintaining all these levels at different times of that kind of day, whatever their day is like. That's my understanding. So I don't know where Puntana is, but maybe she's joined the village women.
She's a nurse.
The village women.
She's a nurse.
It doesn't say she's a nurse. It says she's a mother.
They said in the Krishna book, she gets there's different types of mothers. One of them is the nurse.
Oh.
So in any case, I just think, because there is nothing in Prabhupada's books about what's going on in Goloka, it's an interesting, thing to consider, but we don't, we can relish the fact that in the material world, in Gokula, Krishna has these pastimes, and they appear to be, they really attract our minds. And the fact that the killing of the demons, that's fantastic. We love hearing about that. And the loving exchange between him and his mother. How that is enacted in Goloka, Prabhupada didn't feel, obviously, that he didn't necessarily feel that we needed to know that at this point. But what you said, I don't think there's anything inaccurate about it.
I was going to say, I was just starting to say something more, that Yashoda is like on the level of Vishnu Tapa. Of course, not Vishnu, she's Shakti because she's female, but she's eternally Yashoda. And so she can expand herself like Krishna's boyfriend played, that they expand themselves, the gopis expand themselves and participate on earth like that. But the rest of the village has elderly gopis who are very maternal toward Krishna. And that's their relationship, because the elder they may see him as a child. I just wanted to say that. So I don't think Yashoda has different jivas. My impression is there's only one Yashoda, she's not a jiva. But she can expand herself.
Well, where do you see that? Where's
Prabhupada
that?
said nobody can become Yashoda.
Where did it say that?
I wasn't prepared to look this up ahead of time, but in the Krishna book somewhere he said nobody can become Yashoda.
I don't know, I'd never heard that, but maybe you're right.
It's like nobody can become Radha or Vishaka, or they are who they are eternally.
What about Devaki? Devaki and Vasudeva, they performed austerities.
Yeah, that may be different. I I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it.
They
where
went
it
through
stops.
they went through many
Yeah.
thousands of years of austerities.
So I don't know where.
I never heard about Nanda and Jasoda.
Yeah, well, Yashoda is, she may have a history on material world too, she has some history, but also Prabhupada said nobody can become Yashoda. Yashoda is Yashoda.
Well, you know, that would be a nice thing if you could show us and tell us, because I don't remember seeing that. But that, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
you know, I
Trying
just.
to think how
did
it
you have a
would
point?
up in the search.
I just had a question. I was like under the impression that Goloka,
What's that?
Goloka
Yeah.
was, I just thought that it was just the eternal rasa dance, rasa lila that was happening there.
Actually, that's an interesting point. You know, and one of my speculations was that there are, you know, I'm not going to say. But the point is that, you know, Prabhupada said there are cowherd boys, there's the parental relationship, and the Ras Leela dance is there. So what else is going on? We just know at this point it appears, I mean, obviously there's no reason for a Janamasmi. But I think one way to get off of this subject is that we can have a little test of our knowledge of who some of these personalities are. I'll name some and see if anybody here can tell us. Who's Palamba in Krishna's pastime? Anyone remember? Palamba.
Yeah.
What?
Well, he was the demon who came as a cowherd boy, and he carried Balaram, and they played the games
Yes,
he had to carry,
right.
and he carried
Yeah.
Balaram away and tried to kill him.
Right.
Balaram killed him.
But that's not Trinavarta, that's Krishna. With Trinavarta, he carried him away. Trinavarta was the whirlwind demon.
Yeah.
Palamba's different from Trinavarta. But he
No.
tried to carry away Balaram, and then he was killed.
Yeah, he tried on his back. And in the games, he had to carry.
Right.
He had to
Well,
carry.
but Krishna was also on the back of Trinavarta, that's why I was
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
clarify. And then Danakasura. That one we know. We all know that.
That's the donkey demon, the ass demon.
Right. He's the one who was thinking, it was actually, I think it might have been, Kamsa thought it was his orchard. And it had this very relishable fruit. But the Nakasura was protecting it, and he was also enjoying it, thinking that really it's his. So it's about false proprietorship. And then the cowherd boy said, you know, over there in that forest over there, and it's called, what is it called?
Talavana.
That's right. Not new, it's the Talavana. And people are touchy about that. So Talavana, and it smells wonderful. There's some beautiful, delicious fruits, but we can't get it because that big donkey over there, that big ass. So then they go over and they start throwing them around, whirling them. And it said it was so beautiful, it looked like clouds in the sky with all his cohorts up in the trees. Then we have Baka. Baka is Bakasura. He's a large crane who comes and tries to beat Krishna. And Krishna takes his beak and bifurcates it. That's a game my son and I used to play. Keishi. Keishi.
Horse demon.
Well, what's Arista then? Arista's the bull. Yeah, so Keishi. Yeah, and I just was reading about Keishi. He comes out pure. I mean, they're not just horses. These are mystic yogis taking on a very powerful form of a horse. Very large, very powerful. His legs were like steel, it says in the Krishna book. And he was trying to, smash Krishna with his legs and kick Krishna. And then he came, and there was a back and forth. I think Krishna threw him a great distance, if I remember correctly. Then he gets up and he recharges at him. And this is what Prabhupada said, that a horse is controlled by the mouth. That's why they put those things in their mouths. So he takes his fist and right into the mouth of Arista, like a hot iron rod. And then he dies, and when he finally dies, he's able to get his arm out. The next one is Arista. And Arista was a large bull. Very big, huge bull, completely destroying the whole village. Everyone was totally... And the thing is that when these demons came, not all of them, but like you said, Palamba was just some private little thing between Balaram and the Asura. And Srinivata tried to carry away Krishna. But like Keshi and Arista, they come right into the village and tear it up. They're tearing the place up. And trying to remember how he directly killed him. But he kills Arista, and the way the story goes is that Radharani was upset with him for killing a cow. Mm-hmm. So that's the origin of
Shamakunda,
Radhakunda. Right. Because they had to bathe to get beautiful stories. They're fantastic. It's almost like, I don't know what's happening in Goloka, but I'll take Gokula. It's like a lot of fun. Just keep going to Gokula. Actually, when Prabhupada gave me my name, there was supposed to be another name, and Prabhupada said, no. He said, no. This one is Gokula Ranjana. And I won't.
What does Ranjana mean?
It means he's the source of pleasure or the attractor.
Oh.
He's the main source of pleasure, and he's the main attraction in Gokula. And I had been singing that line of that song for about 2 months, not because I didn't know the whole words, and I kept singing Gokula Ranjana Ka, and nobody knew. Prabhupada, I didn't mention Prabhupada. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I want this all on tape. Anyway, whatever. It's too personal. Okay, Chanora and Mushtika.
Wrestlers.
Right. One of them was killed by Balaram, one was killed by Krishna. Do you know which one was which?
Mushtika was, let's see, Mushtika must have been killed by Krishna because his name comes first, and then Balaram killed one.
In this verse, it's Chanora comes first.
Yeah, wrong. Okay.
What demon was that again?
Chanora and Mushtika, the wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're what? You're verifying that?
I'm looking at a list of the demons.
But the question is who killed... Oh, anyway, you can maybe... that's homework. You can let us know. And then we have... What's the name of the elephant?
Kuvalayapida.
That's right. And he was also not friendly. And then we have... Who was in charge of all these people?
Kamsa.
That's right. Ding, 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 ding. And Kamsa was killed by Krishna. And the story before all this is happening, that day, he's meditating on Krishna and he's got to get him killed. And that day, he doesn't see his shadow. He looks in the mirror. He doesn't see a reflection. Or the shadow had holes in it. That's what it was. The shadow had holes. He had a dream also about a funeral procession, I think. Or was that someone else? Anyway, I remember he looks in the mirror and he doesn't see his reflection. Mm-hmm. And then the shadow had holes, I believe.
Oh, he was being carried away by a donkey cart.
He was being carried away by a donkey cart, right. And still he thought, I got it. If the wrestlers can't do it, I got the elephant. If not, I know a few tricks myself. I can do this. Just like, what's his name? Duryodhana. Yeah, my son was telling me, he went to see a doctor, and the doctor's name was, just happened a couple of days ago. And his name is Giridhari. And
what?
Yeah, and so he's an Indian man, and so he's from India, and he goes, oh, Girihari, it's the name for Krishna. He says, what do you know about Krishna?
Oh boy.
And so then he says, well, then the man says, well, that name, Vidura, do you know what that's about? He starts telling him about the Mahabharata. He goes, you know Mahabharata? So then they get into it. But this guy's a complete stone cold Mayavadi.
Oh.
He thinks whoever wins the battle, just like they say in historians say, whoever wins the war, they get to write the history.
Oh.
So he's saying that Krishna and the Pandavas, they only, because they won, they appear to be more moral, but they're not any more moral than, Dhritarashtra and, so my son's getting into it with him. And he mentions one personality who, I don't remember hearing about it, because I'm not that familiar with Mahabharata. I don't remember problem, but he was one that, something like Ekala something. Ekalavya.
Yes.
And then he tells that whole story. Vidura, explains that to him. And then, so anyway, he was preaching to, he's going to go back and see him, because he forgot to mention the cheating in the disc, the gambling match. But this man was trying to prove that they, it's just that they won. That's why everybody says they're more moral, but they're really not. And there are actually people that still think that Duryodhana would have been a better, like there are people still, I've heard in South India or in Sri Lanka still think that Ravana was actually a good, like the Indians who think, let's bring back the days of Ram Raj, as though let's bring back the days of that's there in the material world too. They still talk about Stalin as being a great leader, some Russians and so on. Anyway, and then we have Yavana. I don't know who that is. And Narakasura and Pundraka. Now I know Pundraka.
Kalyavana, maybe?
What?
Kalyavana, wasn't he the Lecha king that Krishna chased?
I'm not
Krishna
sure.
ran away from?
This one is, no, that,
Or is that maybe?
no, that, but this, they said in here that he was the king of Persia. In the word for word. Yavana was from Persia.
That must have been just something in the battle.
Well, maybe it is Kalyavana. But anyway, Pundraka was the person, he had artificial arms and artificial Sudarshan chakra and club, and actually say to Krishna, he says, you put down those symbols of Vishnu, or I will remove them myself with my mighty chakra. And he apparently looked really ridiculous.
They said he was laughed at.
He was laughed at, right. And Krishna just said, I'm going to yes, I will deliver my... He said, you surrender your chakra. He goes, Krishna... I said... Yes, I will, yeah. Yeah, we got to destroy this tape here. Okay, so Krishna says, would you like me to surrender my chakra? Yes, I demand. Oh, sure. Cuts off the arms, cuts off his head. That's hysterical. There was one devotee back in Atlanta in the early 70s, Radha Mohan. He loved to tell that story. And he was so good at telling it. You'd have everybody rolling on the ground. Because we'd sit around and drink milk, and then, sometimes, we were reading Krishna book, but sometimes, and then someone would want to, actually tell it, with some little flair to it. And he was really good at telling that story. Great marshals like Salva, Davida, gorilla, we say, but here it says monkey, Davida, gorilla, and Balva, and Dantravarka. Now, some of these, like the Salva, you see that enacted in these ancient alien stories. They talk about, they have paintings from Art Prabhu's books, and with Krishna fighting because it has vimanas in it. Mm-hmm. And Krishna is able to ultimately, with rockets, they say that he's sending rockets and other types of nuclear weapons or brahmastras. So they're saying that these people were all they were alien. They're not actually God. Anyone who has any kind of powers like that they're actually aliens from other planets, and actually they are from other planets, and yeah, they are.
They took birth on them.
Well,
Demons.
Krishna just appeared. He's actually not.
On the demons, they took birth on earth, but they were from elsewhere.
Well, some. Well, I don't know where some. But in any case, here it says though that in the purport it said something. I thought it was kind of surprising that Prabhupada mentioned that, but every one of them would get released. There was a sentence here that he said they all got birth, and they were very fortunate because they were killed by the Lord. See, but we should know the above mentioned living entities killed would attain salvation either by being immersed into the Brahmajyoti of the Lord or being allowed to enter the abodes of the Lord called Vaikunthas. This has already been explained. Yeah, so I guess it's just that one sentence there that so since such is the benefit of those who played with the Lord inimically, one can imagine, about those who were actually doing so devotedly. So it just says the living entities who were engaged in these pastimes. It doesn't say that they were here on earth. There wasn't, but they assume that any of these powers that they have, like having vimanas and brahmastras, and they actually refer to missiles. It's actually the arrows of the being used by them. They think it all has to do with beings from other planets. Of course, the demigods are involved, and then there's also the subterranean realm that has powerful demons, but everything to them is, we're all actually coming from aliens. We're not from Earth. So the
Prajapatis don't live on Earth either.
No, but I mean, the point is that we're not even of this material universe. We're of the spiritual, and we're all coming from Krishna, and everything's coming from Krishna. It's not, they're trying to figure out the source, without taking everything that they speculate on. Of course, then they wouldn't have a TV show, of course. Because right when they get really close on the show, not that I've really watched it, I haven't seen it in years now, but you get, at one point, what's his name?
It's on YouTube.
Michael Cremo.
Yeah, he's been on.
What's his name again?
Dhrutakama.
He and a lot of that started really with Siddhartha Puta.
Yes.
That one book he wrote, UFOs and so on. So they get really close to the, getting to the truth that everything's coming from the Vedas and so on, and then they'll go, and then in Peru, and then over in Turkey, and they talk about these rare, structures down in some Caribbean island or an island in the South Pacific, and they're just like all over the map. So but it all, you can see that it's all really coming from the previous Vedic culture that was on. They say, isn't it interesting that the structures are so similar, the architectural structures, and that they're all positioned according to Vastu, basically, and all over the planet, facing the sun, and the sun will, on the day of the solstice, will shine through this point here, and they discuss how it appears that there was flying vehicles that were landing here, but they don't consider the fact that it was people that lived on this planet, that there was a great civilization, and it's not that we're just now coming out of the cavemen. There was a great civilization, and now we've become degraded. Mm-hmm. It's devolving, not evolving. But we're going to have a brief moment for about another 9,500 years where there will be, I don't know to what extent, I don't know if we'll have vimanas or not, but anything's possible. You know, the information is there. So, because there was no class, I'm now just talking in a way that is not, let's just finish it. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, President.
Hare Krishna. Because I